best friends and next-door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready, and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian. Willow's here. Hello, patrons.
Hi, patrons.
I try and do the opening. Like, in my head, it's like always much better.
You know,
and then I get tired halfway through.
You know how I always say hi, patrons the same way?
Yeah.
Do you know what? There's no way you would know what it's from.
Probably not.
It's from one of my, I have like one or two family home videos that I remember from childhood. And my cousin on there said, "Hi, Grandma," because she was in Israel at the time. And so it's a tribute to my cousin who I haven't seen in like 20 plus years. But yeah, it's a core memory where my cousin said, "Hi, Grandma." And I'm just mimicking him when I say hi, patrons, because I don't know. I don't know why. But yeah, that's where that comes from. Old baby Willer. Willer.
So what are we? I don't know what we're talking about.
So this is a story that I just stumbled upon, and I just wanted to tell you it. It was just really interesting. It does involve murder. It is a true crime case, but it's an interesting case of survival, and it has a few twists, and it's just an interesting story. And it really baffles me. This is the story of the sea orphan. And this little girl, this 11-year-old girl, is found at sea.
I've heard of this.
Girl, this is nuts. So yeah, November 16th, 1961, an 11-year-old girl was spotted on a white cork raft in the middle of the Bahamas between Abaco Islands and the Great Stirrup Cay. A freightliner called the Captain Theo, which it's really cute because in this research, a lot of different people got confused and thought that the person captaining the ship was named Captain Theo. And they said he spotted her and all this stuff. And the ship was called Captain Theo.
Okay.
I just think it's really cute. That's a cute little mistake. Yeah. It was traveling from Belgium to Houston, passing through the Bahamas. So it just happened to notice something in the water. And actually, because of this story, I'm sure there's other stories that kind of went with it in order to make the change. But this story is attributed to why they make life rafts bright orange or like a bright color, because hers was white and it blended in with the white caps of the ocean. And she was not seen by many people.
Oh, that's fucked.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's this story is just really intense. So. Yeah, the fact that this ocean liner from Belgium just happened to see her was an absolute miracle. At first, they thought it was just, the white caps of the waves. But as they got closer, they realized that it was something floating. It didn't dissipate like the rest of the white caps. Then they thought it was just, a piece of trash, maybe a fishing dinghy. But when they got closer, they realized it was actually a very small raft with a very small girl on it in the middle of the ocean. And as they got closer, they could see she was wearing a white blouse and pink corduroy capris, or as they would in 1961, they called them pedal pushers.
Oh, I remember.
Which is so cute. Yeah, just very typical 60s little girl. She was leaning backwards feebly as the crew sent down a life raft. They watched from up above as sharks circled beneath her, urging the little girl not to jump in the water, to wait till the life raft got down there.
Ugh.
They pulled her aboard and saw that she was in really bad shape. She was described as incoherent and barely able to speak. Her voice was hoarse. Her lips were painfully chapped. And the crew had to coat her with Vaseline, get her, because her skin is burned.
Yes.
From the sun. They had to get her orange juice and water to drink because she's severely dehydrated. And they had to sponge the salt off of her body.
Ew.
Yeah. And yeah, she was extremely sunburned. Her hair, she was already blonde, but her hair was bleached white from the sun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And her tongue was swollen from dehydration. She was barely alive. Seriously, if they would have not seen her for 5 more minutes, I don't think she would have made it.
Oh, wow.
It was literally like minutes away from death. While essentially reviving this little girl, the crew members panicked and started asking her all kinds of questions like anybody would. You know, where'd you come from? Where's your family? You know, all kinds of questions, asking about, are you from a boat? Did you, come from an island? Like all these things. And she couldn't answer their questions. When they started asking her about her family, she just lifted her hand up and put a thumbs down.
Oh.
She didn't have a family anymore. They asked her name, and she was able to tell them her name. It was Terry Jo Duperrault. She told them that she had been floating on a life raft for several days after her family's ship sank, but that was all she could say. That's all the strength she had, and soon she collapsed and went into a semi-comatose state.
Poor little thing.
At this severity of dehydration, it would take at least 3 days of hospitalization to get her through it. So they made her a bed on the ship and let her rest. The crew on the Captain Theo wasn't able to retrieve the cork raft that she was floating on. But a couple days later, when the Coast Guard came out to search for her ship that she had come from, they found the raft. And it was so badly weathered that when they pulled it out of the water, it nearly disintegrated in their hands.
Wow.
Yeah. Just think about that.
Yeah, I am.
Like, this little girl is floating on top of sharks.
On a disintegrating raft.
Yes. Literal minutes from dying.
Wow.
And her life was saved. It took a few days for her to be well enough to speak to authorities, but when she did, 11-year-old Terry Jo would have a lot to say. Her father, Arthur Duperrault, was a very outdoorsy man. He was really close to Terry Jo. Her and her dad were just thick as thieves because they liked doing all the same things. They really liked going outside. They really liked hiking and fishing and, any outdoor activities that they could find. He had always dreamed of taking his family sailing, not just for a little joyride, but he actually wanted to take his family sailing around the world. He wanted them to experience different cultures and ways of life and to get out of their boring, mundane Midwest existence. He was an optometrist from Green Bay, Wisconsin, which you can't really get more monotone and like white bread than that. You know what I mean? Like there's not much flavor to that existence. There's a stability.
Yeah.
But that's not what he wanted. He wanted fun and adventure and to live a life with his family. And he also had been in World War II and he got a taste of the tropics whenever he was in World War II. So he was really like, that's what I want my family to experience. I want my little girls and my son to grow up on a beach and see the world and experience life. And so he saved up. And in 1961, he had it with the cold and decided to pack his family up and head to Florida. It was like late fall, closer into December, or actually it was November. So late October, he started heading down to Florida, and early November is when they actually ended up setting sail. So he decided to take them on a short tour of the Bahamas, just kind of to test drive this idea to make sure that his family was actually able to go through with his, wild adventure ideas. So he rented a boat called the Bluebell. It was a 2-masted sailboat and planned a 7-day trip around the islands from the Keys to the Bahamas, and also planning for an extended stay just in case everything went well. He kind of had a plan A and a plan B. And he hired a man named Julian Harvey to captain the ship for $100 a day. Now, many people say that him and Julian Harvey were friends long before. Some people say that they were acquaintances. I think that they're both really, really they're really charming men, both of them. They're really charismatic, both of them. They're both outdoorsy and they've both been to war. So I think no matter what, even if these men had met for 5 minutes, they would still become friends.
They're best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got along well. Julian was a retired Air Force pilot and an experienced sailor, and his wife, Mary Dean. I've heard it say Mary Dean. It's spelled Dene, so it could be Danae. because I have a friend named Danae, and it's spelled that way. So I'm just going to call her Mary. But she also joined the ship as the cook. And together they set off. It was 40-year-old Arthur, his 38-year-old wife Jean, and their children, 14-year-old Brian, 11-year-old Terry Jo, and 7-year-old Renee. Julian Harvey, and then his wife Mary. They set sail from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, November 8th, 1961. They stopped here and there around the islands. They did touristy things. They went shopping. They collected seashells. They ate, wine and dined, watched sunsets, everything you would do.
All the things.
Snorkeling, the things. And they had the time of their lives. On November 12th, at their final port of call prior to returning to Florida, they have to kind of like check in with the Coast Guard because they're going around, you know,
international
territory,
waters and stuff.
And so returning to Florida, Arthur Duperrault and Captain Julian Harvey visited the office of the British District Commander. And he said when they spoke to him, he said that Arthur said, quote, "This has been a once-in-a-lifetime vacation. We'll be back before Christmas." And then that evening aboard the Bluebell, it was just the perfect night. He was literally having the time of his life. And they decided to continue sailing through the night because the waters were really calm, the air was really warm, and they just kind of wanted to continue on. The family sat down for a meal of chicken. I didn't look up the pronunciation because I know you know what this is.
I'm smug. Go on.
It's Cacciatore. Cacciatore.
I love chicken cacciatore. It's really good. If y'all want a recipe, just ask. It's a tomato and like bell pepper based sauce. You can put a little cheese on the top. It's Italiano, okay?
Italiano, okay.
That's from Twilight.
Really?
When Bella goes to the Cullens' house for the first time, they make her Italiano because her name is Isabella. Stupid.
Wow.
Stupid movie. Stupid book. You're welcome.
What kind of noodles is with it? Is there a specific kind?
You can serve it with like either spaghetti. You can serve it with some egg noodles.
But it's a pinky sauce?
It's a red sauce.
A red sauce?
Not pink.
I like a pink sauce.
Well, that's mixed in with like no. Fuck off.
I like red sauce and white sauce mixed together.
Which is called a pomodoro sauce, which is not what I'm talking about. So it's a red sauce with bell peppers and onions. So good. You can serve it with polenta, mashed potatoes.
Polenta.
I love polenta. A nice creamy polenta. You can serve it with a risotto if you're feeling fancy.
I love that word.
Risotto?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm so bad at Italian, but I love all of it. It all makes me hungry.
It's just carbs and cheese and sauce, and that's just all I need. Yummy. God, I'm fucking hungry.
I know. I'm sorry. I really needed that buffer because what's about to happen is
bad.
fun.
Yes, okay.
But carbs and cheese.
But yeah, if I ever talk about food and you're like, yum, just a comment and I'll leave you a recipe.
Yeah, she's really good at that.
Yeah, I'll do it.
So yeah, they had chicken cacciatore.
Yes, cacciatore.
And salad. And shortly after that, 11-year-old Terry Jo went down below the deck to bed. And the rest of the family stayed up on deck. I believe her 7-year-old sister fell asleep before everybody, and she fell asleep on deck. And since it was such a nice night,
They
you
just
know,
left
like
her up there,
the adults were just chit-chatting throughout the night.
Sounds nice, honestly.
It sounds like
lovely.
a dream.
I would love
it
to
was
do
so
something like
calm, and everybody got along so well that conversation was really easy.
Oh man, have a couple drinks on the ocean.
They were
Fuck
wine
yeah.
drinkers, so you know, like they had a glass of wine at night every night, and it was just really
It
relaxing.
just sounds really nice. Like I could use a vacation like this.
Right, and you got to think about like how like Midwestern optometrist, right? He had the wife and the 3 kids. I'm sure he had like the picket fence and the whole cookie cutter life.
Especially back then.
Yeah, through the 50s and 60s, because this is 61. So he just experienced the 60s, and now he's like, I want my hair down.
Yeah.
And he finally got it.
Oh, this is going to suck.
A few hours later, Terry Jo wakes up to a blood-curdling scream, and it's her little brother screaming, "Daddy, help." And she doesn't hear a voice after that.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So We can understand what that means. And she can definitely tell that something is very wrong with the way that her brother is screaming. So again, she's 11 years old and just waking up. It's a little bit of a groggy, hazy time right now. She's very much in shock. She froze for a moment and then decided to get up and go see what was happening on deck. Trigger warning. I'm not really going to go into too much detail, but as she's going up, she saw her mother and brother in a pool of blood on the floor as she passed the kitchen. And so she knew it was bad.
Yeah.
Given her age and state of mind, being half awake and completely in shock, it was hard for her to remember specific details. Because again, this all sounds like a really bad dream to her. Like she must be dreaming. This can't be real. But she does believe that as she's kind of like going up through the cabin, she believes that she saw more blood in the cockpit and possibly a rifle as well. But she couldn't be sure.
Yeah.
When she got to the deck, she came face to face with wide-eyed Julian Harvey. He essentially pushed her back down the steps and told her to go back to her room. She went back to her bed and lay down, frozen in fear, just watching as the water slowly filled the floor of her room.
Oh, God.
Harvey came down to the entrance of her cabin and just stood in the doorway with a shotgun in his hand, making eye contact with Terry Jo, just standing there.
It is so scary.
And he stood there staring at her for an awkward amount of time, and then he left. And she just laid there frozen in fear until her mattress started to kind of float. And she knew that, okay, now I gotta go. Like, it's do or die. This body's gonna guide me out, whether my brain says no or not, you know? So yeah, she made her way through the boat. She climbed up over the sinking sails, found the cork raft that she knew was on the side. As she's coming up, though, she sees Julian Harvey jump off. There's several stories about this interaction. If she just saw him jump off of the boat, there's some stories about how he had handed her the rope to the dinghy, but then she dropped it. And this could have possibly saved her life. I'm not really sure. She doesn't make mention of this, so I just wanted to throw that out there because she may or may not remember. It may be in like later reports. I'm not really for sure. But she does remember that there is a life raft on the other side of the boat, and something tells me that Julian Harvey did not know that there was a life raft on the other side of the boat because he went after the dinghy and he just assumed she would die there with her family. So she grabs the cork life raft. She throws herself and the raft overboard. Part of the raft actually got snagged on the side of the boat, and her and the raft went under for a little bit.
Ooh, ocean stuff freaks me out.
Oh my God, because it's infinitely deep. Oh God. Yeah, I'm a lake and river girl. So it got unhooked underwater, and the two of them, her and the raft, floated back up. Lord. Now, the raft itself was for temporary use, very specifically temporary use. It was a white oval tube made of cork with a fiber rope netting in the center. So there wasn't even like a bottom really to it. It was just rope netting.
So she's in the water too?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Dude.
Girl.
That is so bad for your skin.
Yes. Well, and yeah, we'll get into it. So, it wasn't made to hold a person completely above water. It was definitely just meant to keep your head above water temporarily. But somehow she made it work. The first night was the most terrifying because not only was it pitch dark above and below her and everywhere around her, but and obviously the obvious parts were, she's alone. It's the goddamn ocean, which is the scariest motherfucker on this planet.
It is a scary motherfucker. That and caves, man.
Girl, I am inland. Oh yeah, I love caves though. I'm
an ocean baby. I would love to go out there and just be there every single day. But But I'm also have a healthy, respectful fear of it as well.
I'm a lake girl. I know it's
like
drinkable
lakes,
if I
too.
need it. Well, you know. Yeah. Anyway. So you have all of that. You have the darkness, the ocean, all of those natural things that she's fearing. She's also 11 years old and just lost her father, her mother, and her 2 siblings. So that part is really terrifying.
Yeah.
But also, she has no idea where Julian Harvey is.
He could be anywhere.
He could be anywhere she can't see.
God.
So she has to stay silent that whole night. She's sitting there silent and still.
And you probably want to cry.
Hiding.
You know?
Yeah, when you want to call out, you want to do all of the things that a panicked person would do, but you can't. You have to stay silent. Over the next 4 days, this 11-year-old traveled 200 miles at sea. In the beginning, she stayed slightly submerged, from the waist down. But then the fish started to nibble her legs.
Oh, God.
So she had to get on top of the raft. And it took time, but she figured out exactly how to balance her body on top so she wouldn't be bitten. But then the harsh sun came out all day and burned her skin. Her tongue swelled and her body ached from trying to fight the waves and holding her body up. So think about all the muscles that she is using constantly, continuously for 4 days, 200 miles.
I don't know how you would sleep either.
She couldn't.
No.
She literally couldn't sleep. She wouldn't allow herself to sleep. So think about all of that. She did start to hallucinate. She hallucinated that there was an island several times, in swimmable distance. She'd get out to swim to it and then realize that it wasn't there. Mirages and things.
Yeah.
She would accidentally fall asleep, like kind of pass out.
Yeah, nod out, yeah.
And one time she remembers waking up because her dream was of her drowning. And she woke up underwater.
Oh, God.
And she had to swim to the top and get back to her life raft. 11 years old. I'm still baffled. So
wow.
At night, everything was cold. So it was the exact opposite. All day, it's heat, hot, terrible, burning air.
And at night, it's just freezing.
Freezing. And think about what your skin does when it's sunburned and then it gets cold.
Oh, God.
It's the same whenever you get a tattoo and it gets cold.
Yeah.
It hurts so fucking bad.
Yeah.
And so she's just in that much more pain all night long. Plus tense from her muscles.
Yeah.
Trying to stay afloat.
Exhausted, thirsty, hungry.
Absolutely.
Nightmare.
And the water was just so black. Everything was just so black at night. It was just terrifying. She said that she was grateful for the porpoises that would come up every now and then and take a breath of air because she knew she wasn't alone then.
Oh, baby. That's pitiful.
Mm-hmm. Several ships passed, but they couldn't see her because they just thought she was a whitecap. Even a low-flying plane flew overhead. Possibly, I couldn't get a definite on what this plane was doing, if it was doing cargo or passenger, or if it was actually looking for her. But a low-flying plane did pass over her, and she thought that this was her rescue, and he didn't see her. It was an absolute miracle that she was found when she was found. Now, Julian Harvey was found a day after the wreckage, clinging to a dinghy. He was brought into the Coast Guard, and he said that he had been there, that there had been a squall, and it had dismasted the Blue Bell. Now, get this. This is the story that he tells. Now, as an aside, because I cannot confirm or deny this because so many different sources said different things, but a lot of sources said that he had with him her dead 7-year-old sister.
Oh, God.
Who had drowned. Like, he just had her lifeless body in his arms.
To try and make his story better?
I think so.
Ew.
Some sources say that it was his wife in his arms. If there was any... if there was anybody in his arms, I would think it would be the 7-year-old because I don't, smaller. But in the documentary that she made, she never made mention of it. So, but Wikipedia says that, so, take it with a grain of salt. But either way, he tells the Coast Guard that the squall had dismasted the Bluebell. The Bluebell's main mast fell through the deck like a pencil, going straight through the decks, all the decks of the Bluebell, and essentially pierced the ship all the way through, and that's how it sank.
Okay, that doesn't sound very plausible, frankly.
He said that he was the sole survivor and that he sadly wasn't able to save anyone. In some reports, it even says that he told them that he saw Terry Jo drown. Now, again, he was found the day after the wreckage. She was found 4 days after, and then wasn't even out of the coma for another few days. So,
yeah.
So Julian Harvey was actually in the middle of being interrogated by the U.S. Coast Guard when the news broke that there was a survivor.
And I bet he was shitting his pants.
Yes. They said they came in to tell him that a little girl had survived, that she hadn't spoken yet, but basically she was in a coma, but they were hoping in the hospital that they would be able to bring her out of that coma. When Julian Harvey heard the news, he, to the Coast Guards, sounded very happy, very excited. Good, I'm glad she made it.
Hooray.
Hooray. And then immediately asked to be excused. He left. He went back to his hotel room. And the very next day, the housekeeping staff found him.
Yeah, he killed himself.
He had, sliced everything that he could find. Literally, his legs, his arms, his neck. He made sure that he was going to die. Yeah. And it actually took a while to confirm that it was Julian Harvey because he had rented the room under an alias. So,
of course he had.
Yeah. And it didn't take long for the U.S. Coast Guard to determine that Julian Harvey had killed everyone aboard except for Terry Jo, not just with her story that she told, but also all the other evidence, everything in his life leading up to this point. He had a long history of insurance fraud.
Oh, that's what it was for.
Long history of insurance fraud. Boats, planes, houses. Mary was his sixth wife.
Well, that's not suspicious
That's
at all.
really hard to say.
Are they all dead? The other wives?
Most of them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Car crashes. He's just got bad luck.
Just bad luck, eh?
He was even in one of those car crashes. Strange. He had taken out a $40,000 life insurance policy on her when they were just married. They were married just before the trip. He also, claimed, there's like an added bonus if it's an accident. He also got insurance on the boat itself, which I believe was rented. So I don't know how he did that. And someone else did the math for me, but it was like in the 300,000.
Yeah, and back then that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Well, 40,000 is equivalent to about 300 and something thousand. So in today's money. So if you add all of that other stuff on top of it,
it's millions.
He was looking to save some money get some money from this on top of all of the other scams that he's had going on. So yeah, he thought he was going to get out of this no problem. And a lot of people actually think that he hadn't actually planned on killing the family, that they had maybe possibly walked in on him.
Something stupid, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who really knows? There's really no way for us to know.
I'm sure he planned on killing his wife, though. Because he had
1,000%. 1,000%. Because again, he's getting paid $100 a day to chart this trip. So, yeah, I mean, he's killing two birds with one stone in this, But yeah, Julian Harvey totally thought that he had got away scot-free with everything until the news of the little girl came up. And this obviously wasn't the closure that Terry Jo wanted or needed, or anybody needed for that fact. And she would go to live with her aunt and uncle, I believe on her dad's side. And basically because of the times, it was believed that you didn't talk about it. You acted like it never happened. Mm-hmm. You went on with your life. You did your everyday things and you just moved forward. That's how you heal. You move forward. And so, I mean, this family loved her absolutely unconditionally forever and always. They were good to her. I'm not saying anything against the family. It's definitely of the times to do so.
Yeah.
And she even said that herself. But she did. She loved her aunt and uncle. She ended up calling them mom and dad. And, you know, in her mind, she had a spot for her mother and father, and then a new place for her new mother and mom and dad. And when she was 12, she changed her name from Terry Jo, Terry, Terry, to Tere. And all of her family still calls her Terry. I don't know if this is still pronounced Terry. I've heard Spanish translations to all kinds of other translations of this word, from tere to ter to all kinds. So I'm just going to keep calling her Terry, and I don't mean any disrespect by that, but her family still calls her Terry.
Yeah, I think that's safe to go.
But yeah, so I'm not really sure about the name change, exactly how to pronounce it, but I do understand that she changed it to kind of signify the line in the sand, the before and the after.
Yeah.
You know, kind of her spot of healing from all of this. And one of the sad things about this is that she didn't see her father die. So a part of her still believed that he was out there.
Oh.
Yeah. She continued to have this really strong, like, deep-seated fascination with the ocean and water, and even went into, fields that had to do with water. Anything that she did in life had something to do with water. And she would she would just get in her car and leave sometimes, just to go to Florida or Myrtle Beach or just anywhere on the East Coast, the southern part specifically, maybe hoping to see her dad one day.
It's so pitiful.
It wasn't until she was like 35 that she finally accepted it for her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until 2010, 50 years after this incident, that she actually came forward and talked about her story.
Oh, wow.
That's how long she kept this. Because, I mean, when the incident happened, it was so cut and dry.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's like injuring yourself really fast and then soldering it really fast. Like, or not soldering it, but like cauterizing it. Like, it's like a fast heal, but it doesn't heal, you know? Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it took her that long, and I'm really proud of her for finally coming out. I think she wanted to wait, not just for herself to heal, which she should have all the time in the world, but also for her children to get older. Now her children are adults, and they can really see the amount of strength that their mother has through all of this. Mm-hmm. In 2010, she authored the book Alone, Orphaned on the Ocean, and it tells the entire story of everything that she went through. Obviously, there's no way for me to tell you everything about the 4 days that she spent on the ocean. I can't imagine what it was like.
Sounds like hell.
But she told CBS News, quote, "I always believed I was saved for a reason. If one person heals from a life tragedy after reading my story, my journey will have been worth it." And I really do think that in a nutshell is why we tell these stories, why we are in true crime, is because it helps us get through it. We're saving each other's lives, basically.
I think so.
In a way.
And in conversations, maybe it'll save somebody just once.
Yeah.
It will have been worth it.
Yes.
If someone can hear me talk about our experiences with domestic violence or the victim's experience, and then they get out of that relationship and save them and their kids. Wow, that is huge to me. That is really heavy. Like, it is why we do it, though. I think originally it was more for me to figure out why these kind of things happen.
Right.
And it started becoming more understanding how to move past my own trauma and maybe how to help others with theirs.
Right.
And it's really interesting how it took that turn. I didn't expect it to.
This podcast has done things to my life that I could have never imagined or had ever planned.
Right, for real.
No, I just thought I was going to be, doing something fun with my friend and getting to talk to an adult for once instead of a baby.
Yeah.
Just talking about interesting topics. But no,
It's really-
this has changed me morally. This has changed me as a person.
Yes.
And it has brought me on a path of change, in a direction of change.
Every day I wake up and think, how can I be better today?
Yeah, and it's because of these stories. It's because of these people
Yeah.
that we talk about. It's because of the people that we research. They inspire us.
For real.
Every single story inspires us in one direction or the other.
Even having, for me, the biggest one, and I know this seems weird, it's not a popular take, but having empathy for the perpetrators
Yeah.
has really helped me heal personally.
Because there is that level that you have to end up not forgiving
No.
your specific
I don't.
abuser, but understanding,
Yes.
so that way you don't place the guilt
He-
wrongly on yourself.
He wasn't able, for whatever reason, to break the cycle of abuse in his life.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yes.
And I learned from that experience. And now I also learned how to not make myself the victim anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I see myself doing it. We reenact our trauma to find closure and gain control over it. And I've stopped doing that. And it's been very confrontational, but also very healing and very hard.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty grateful for it. I really have enjoyed this entire experience.
I'm just beyond blessed.
It's pretty great.
And it's because of you guys.
Yeah.
It's your fault.
Thank you. So I don't normally do business time,
On Patreon.
but I want to make an offer to my patrons that if you buy stuff off my website, you get 20% off. You
Yeah.
just put patron in the coupon code, because I have a lot of stuff left over from the craft fair of doom, and you should just go get some of it because I'm about to have more stuff. And it's very exciting. But yeah, that was an interesting episode. I had briefly heard about the story, but I hadn't ever looked into it very hard. Like, I didn't know the murder part. I just knew the
Right.
girl in the ocean
Right.
for like 4 days.
Sea Orphan. It's got a catchy ring to it.
It does, yeah.
I hate to say that, but I was always kind of dark humor about my existence, because I was always like, I'm a fucking orphan.
Yeah, I
So-
call myself like half an orphan all
Yeah.
the time.
I'm a misfit orphan. So the name itself stuck out to me, and I just had to know more.
Yeah.
And the twists and turns of this case was really interesting.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
What a piece of
And
shit.
I'll post the photos. He's so charismatic. You'd believe, I mean, not you, obviously, but I would believe everything he said. So I could see why that was his sixth wife. Lord have mercy. But yeah, these cases are always interesting. I love older ones. That's fun.
I do too,
Mm-hmm.
but we just try and have a good mix of things you may have heard before, but shit you have never heard before. And I'll be doing some cases this month that I guarantee you probably haven't heard.
And if you guys have suggestions on cases, I usually do any suggestions that don't fit.
Themes into
Themes
Patreon.
into
I
Patreon.
file them away. I have a suggested case folder, and I file them away so when I do have a theme come up, or I'm looking
Yeah.
for a Patreon case to do. Although my Patreon, I really love to do cold cases.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Well, they need attention.
No,
so
I know.
consult.
You know.
You know.
I'm just a
can
big
eat
baby
butts.
with the. I don't even like
butts.
doing cases like we're doing this month, where they're current cases and they're not, done and in trial. I like cases where like everybody's already dead and I have full closure on the entire story, and I can get a well-rounded idea of what the story really is.
Yeah, because a lot of these people haven't been charged yet.
Yes.
Or they haven't gone to
Almost
trial
all of
yet.
my cases this month are current cases that
Mine
have
are a
not
little
gone to trial.
older.
Mm-hmm.
I know my last one isn't. It's pretty recent. But my other cases are a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
They messed up.
Girl.
They are messed up.
Girl.
I don't know why the social media aspect makes it more messed up.
Because
than it does.
it's
playing out in the public eye, I think.
well, and it shows a lot of how much we believe what we see, and the people we see, we believe them. I'm very quick to believe somebody when they tell me something.
Oh, no,
I
I'm
take
always
everything
skeptical.
face value. If you show me it, that's how it is, And I don't know. It's very interesting to see how people get so famous and then exploit their bad behavior, and people are like still quick to be on their team just because they're cute and do cute dances. I don't know. This month is interesting for me to mentally digest.
When I found that Gin Kid still had stands, I was horrified. Because, I mean, he just...
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious that he did it.
Yeah.
It's indefensible.
Right. Well, and then like the Courtney Taylor, she has like tons of people on her side still.
I know.
She still has 2.2 million followers. She didn't lose followers.
He got more followers because of this.
This next case that I have, I guess I'll tell you guys. Snow the Salt Queen, like she's a TikToker cosplayer, and I mean, actually, the internet really fucking hates her, but the ones that are on her side are on her fucking side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It's strange to me.
Yeah.
It's an interesting phenomenon, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Today's a weird day.
It's still sunshiny. We never record in the sunshine.
Why is it so weird today? Well, dumbass, that's because you're recording at a time. You usually record in the darkness.
Yes.
But it's like, it's such a beautiful day, too.
It's so pretty. I'm going to go clean my porch.
It's just gorgeous. I'm going to go eat mac and cheese because I'm feeling sorry for myself.
There you go.
Yeah, carbs are
Girl,
always the answer.
Carbs are God. God are carbs.
I don't know that I go that far.
Oh, I do.
I mean, God made ketamine.
No, they make me see God. See, if when I eat, I pass out. See?
Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I don't either.
No, y'all don't understand. Like,
it's bad.
It's a joke that we have that like give Willow a burrito and you won't hear from her for like 48 hours.
Literally,
but it's
banana.
Like true.
A banana. I tried texting someone after eating a banana, one banana, and I was like, I got fucked up, and then passed out into a coma for 4 hours. Bananas, apples, bread, all kinds of different things make me pass out.
I mean, I can really tie the feed bag on and like overeat, and then I get a little sleepy. But no, you like legitimately.
Yeah.
I think it's a medical issue, and I am a little concerned.
Oh yeah. No, I'm gonna go to the doctors and just be like, hey, diagnostics.
Run them. Check engine lights on.
Put them things on my titties and run that diagnostic little thing.
Why are
that you
things
get.
On your tits?
You know, like at AutoZone. They put the thing on your car and they tell you what's wrong with your car.
Why is it going on your tits?
I don't know where else you would put spark plugs. That's not what spark plugs are.
I gotta go. This is stupid, and I feel stupider for having engaged in it, and I'm mad at myself, but I love you guys. Almost knocked things over.
I meant jumper cables.
Yeah, I know you did.
Oh,
but that's not what they used to diagnose it. I gotta go. I love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Find us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.